Good evening, and welcome to Roots and Rest. This evening's story is called The Hollow Beneath the Ash, a sleepy woodland story for rest, drifting, and soft endings. In the oldest part of the woodland, where the trees stood so tall, their branches stitched together like woven cloth, there lived a quiet wanderer named Briar. Briar had a name like the earth itself, green and wild and soft at the edges. She lived in a hollow nestled beneath the roots of an ancient ash tree. Not beside the roots, not near them, but within them. The ash had grown for so many centuries that its roots rose from the ground like the backs of sleeping animals, arching and folding over one another until they made rooms beneath the earth. Briar's home rested there, warm with moss and lantern light, wrapped in the deep smell of bark and rain-soaked soil. Every morning, Briar woke to the sound of roots stretching. Not truly moving, roots are slower than time, but settling, pressing deeper into the dark, holding the woodland together. And Briar believed this, that roots remembered everything, every fallen leaf, every footstep, every winter, every spring. The roots held stories the way rivers held reflections. And each evening, before sleep, Briar placed one hand against the ash's oldest root and listened. Some nights it felt warm, some nights cool. And sometimes, when the wind was low and the moon hung silver in the branches, Briar could almost hear the roots humming beneath the earth. A long, low song. The kind that asks for nothing. The kind that makes your breathing slow. The kind you could follow into sleep. Tonight was one of those nights. The woodland was hushed in that soft way forests become when darkness settles fully. Owls had finished their calling. Foxes had curled beneath fern beds. Even the stream nearby had quietened into a lazy trickle over stone. Briar wrapped herself into a wool cloak and stepped outside the root hollow. The earth was cool underfoot. The ash tree stretched above like a cathedral. And there, glowing pale beneath the moonlight, Briar noticed something unusual. One of the roots, an old one, thick as a fallen log, had split slightly open. Not broken, opened. Like a door. Briar knelt. Inside was darkness, but a warm darkness, the kind that felt alive. She placed her hand against the root and felt it pulse once. Slow, steady, like a sleeping heart. Briar knew the old woodland ways. Roots only opened when they wished to be followed. So, carrying a lantern no brighter than a firefly, Briar stepped inside. The tunnel was curved and gentle, woven from roots thick and thin, crossing overhead like the beams of an old house. The deeper she walked, the warmer the earth became. The smell changed too. Less like soil, more like rain. Fresh rain, the kind that falls just before dawn. Briar ran her fingers along the walls. The roots were smooth, ancient, strong, and with every step she felt herself growing heavier. Not tired exactly, but softened, as if the earth itself was taking the sharp corners off her thoughts. Above her, far away, wind moved through leaves. But here below, everything was still. Still enough to hold her breath. Still enough to hear your own heart. Still enough that sleep might find you. The tunnel opened at last. At its centre stood a great bowl made of roots, curled together like hands. And inside it lay hundreds of seeds. Briar knew what this was. The Rootkeeper's nest. A place spoken of only in winter stories, where the woodland stored tomorrow. Each seed held a future tree, a future branch for birds, a future root to hold the earth. Briar sat beneath the nest, quietly, respectfully, and listened. A deep song beneath the ground, steady as breathing. The roots were humming louder, slow as dreaming. Briar closed her eyes. The hums said things without words. Rest. Grow slowly. Not everything must bloom at once. The seeds seemed to breathe with it. In. Out. In. Out. And Briar matched them. Breathing slower now. Feeling her shoulders loosen. Her hands unclench. She stayed there for what might have been minutes or hours. Time moved differently under roots. Gentler. Eventually, Briar noticed one seed glowing brighter than the others. Small, brown, and warm as sunlight. She picked it up. It fit perfectly into her palm. And the moment she touched it, a memory came. Not hers, but the trees. Rain falling on their earth. Roots reaching downwards for the first time. Darkness that wasn't lonely. Stillness that wasn't empty. Always waiting. Briar understood them. Roots do not hurry. They trust the earth. They trust the dark. They trust that growing can happen unseen. This comforted Briar, because above ground the world often felt loud with wanting. Faster. Brighter. Always asking. But below ground, nothing was asked, only held. Briar tucked the seed into her pocket and followed the tunnel home. The root door closed softly behind her, as if it had never opened at all. Back in the hollow, the fire had gone to embers, red and low. Warm enough. Briar placed the golden seed beside the bed of moss and wool. Outside, rain had begun. Soft rain. The kind that taps gently at root and leaf. The ash tree above drank deeply. Its roots below sighed into the earth. Briar lay down, one hand against the wall of living root, feeling its slow, endless pulse. The woodland was resting. The foxes, the owls, the streams, the seeds, even the roots, all resting in their own quiet way. And Briar remembered what the humming roots had said. Not everything must bloom at once. Some things are meant for stillness, for dark soil, for slow becoming, for sleep. The rain fell softer, and Briar drifted down into dreams, down into the warm earth song, where everything is quiet, where roots cradle the world, where nothing asks anything of you, where you can simply rest. And if somewhere in the deep woodland tonight you hear a low humming beneath the trees, perhaps it is only roots remembering, or perhaps they are singing you to sleep.